Ukraine refuses to accredit German election observers. President Petro Poroshenko wanted to trade Crimea for NATO membership. And foreign troops in Ukraine will destroy the country. These are the stories we debunk for you this week, and this is StopFake, the place where we set the record straight on fakes about Ukraine. I'm Marko Suprun, so let's get to it. Pro-Kremlin media went into a frenzy this week, claiming Ukraine refused to register German election observers for the March 31 presidential elections. Utro.ru wailed, Kiev sees the Germans as pro-Russian agents of influence, while Ukraina.ru wrote, Ukraine is afraid there will be pro-Russian politicians in the German delegation. And Russia's Channel 5 lamented there is no support from Ukraine for German observers to monitor the elections. Currently, there are 13 officially registered election observers from Germany. Many Germans are also registered with international election monitoring organizations. As of today, there are more than 1,100 international election observers registered with Ukraine's Central Election Committee. All these fake stories stem from a single source, Andreas Maurer, a member of the Quakenbrück City Council from the left populist party Die Linke. Quakenbrück is a city of some 13,000 in the Osnabrück district of Lower Saxony, and it is none other than Mr. Maurer, who has not been registered as an observer for the Ukrainian elections. Born in Karaganda, Russia, Andreas Maurer has repeatedly violated Ukrainian laws and visited Crimea, entering the occupied Ukrainian peninsula from Russia. He was in occupied Donbass as an election observer in November 2018. Maurer openly advocates the abolition of Western sanctions against Russia and calls for Crimea to be recognized as a Russian territory. He is a big fan of Vladimir Putin and a regular guest on many Russian propagandist television shows. Last year, Andreas Maurer and several of his Die Linke colleagues were convicted of voter fraud. Maurer received a 7-month suspended sentence. Scores of Russian media circulated stories last week claiming that in 2014, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko allegedly wanted to exchange Crimea for membership in the European Union and NATO. The source is former Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili, who from May 2015 until November 2016 was the governor of Ukraine's Odessa province. Saakashvili told Ukrainian journalist Dmitry Gordon that Poroshenko told him Ukraine should get used to the idea of no longer having Crimea the way Georgia had to get used to losing South Ossetia and Abkhazia. Saakashvili claims Poroshenko said, quote, "We won't have Crimea anymore, but we will exchange it for membership in the EU and NATO." Now, it's impossible to check the accuracy of Saakashvili's claim. However, the official position of Ukraine's president, the European Union, and NATO are quite the opposite of his claim. They have repeatedly stated publicly that Kiev must regain control of the occupied Crimean Peninsula, and there has never been any talk of a possible trade-off. During his speech at the 2019 Davos World Economic Forum, Poroshenko said, "The biggest nightmare for Russia is that after the elections, the Kremlin will be confronted by our legitimate demands that Russia stop killing Ukrainians, withdraw its military from Donbass, return control of our border, return Crimea to Ukraine, and release all hostages illegally held in Russian prisons. The day will come when the price for Russia's aggression will be too high." And the European Union adheres to the same position. Addressing the Ukrainian parliament on February 19, the president of the European Council, Donald Tusk, again assured Ukraine that Europe would never recognize the Russian annexation of Crimea and would continue with the sanctions until Russia fulfills its obligations. NATO also considers Russia's actions illegal. In 2018, Jens Stoltenberg said, "Russia illegally annexed Crimea and now is trying to use it to expand its influence and control over the Azov Sea. We support the territorial integrity of Ukraine and will never recognize the illegal annexation of Crimea." In the 5 years since the Russian annexation of Crimea and the invasion of the Donbass region, Ukraine has not become a member of the EU nor of NATO. Ukrainian authorities want to raise the country to the ground. This was the reaction of a Russian Duma official to Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko signing a law allowing foreign troops to be present on Ukrainian territory in 2019. Leonid Kalashnikov, the chairman of the Russian Duma's CIS and Eurasian Integration Committee, said that allowing foreign military on Ukrainian soil is something Kiev intends to use to stir up conflicts in the country. Quote, "Clearly, Petro Poroshenko is impatient to destroy his own country to the ground. If you look carefully, all attempts to bring foreign military to Ukraine aggravate security issues and lead to serious conflicts within the country," Kalashnikov said. But Kalashnikov conveniently forgot to mention that the new Ukrainian law is about foreign troops being in Ukraine for military exercises in 2019. There are 5 such military exercises scheduled for 2019. The Ukrainian and American Rapid Trident and Sea Breeze drills, the Ukrainian-Romanian Riverine exercise, the multinational Maple Arch drills, and the Ukrainian-British Warrior Watch maneuvers. Joint military exercises are aimed at improving Ukraine's security, enhancing the level of troop readiness and effectiveness, and raising the tactical expertise of its military. Ukraine has been adopting similar laws every year since the country began holding international military drills in the 1990s. Ukraine's constitution no longer allows foreign troops to be based on Ukrainian territory. It once provisionally allowed Russian troops to be based in Crimea freely and legally, contributing to the peninsula's complete occupation and annexation by Russia in 2014. Mr. Kalashnikov conveniently forgot about the little green men, members of the Russian military that suddenly appeared in Crimea 5 years ago, or the scores of Russian military regularly being rotated in and out of the occupied Donbass. Their illegal presence has indeed resulted in a great conflict. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on the StopFake website. Be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.